Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlimited Pancakes, where the pancakes always come fresh from the oven. No. I'm your host, Fernando Ramirez, aka MasterChef. Don't question my logic.
You don't cook pancakes in an oven.
Cook pancakes
you freaking fry pancakes.
I don't know. I cook pancakes in the oven.
No, you don't.
Everyone's different.
Leave it alone.
You're gonna question how I cook my pancakes?
Because you have to flip the pancakes.
Quality.
No, not in an oven. An oven, it cooks all around.
Who cooks pancake in an oven?
Apparently he does. Okay. I'm protecting him. I'm justifying his reasoning.
Yeah, so you shut up. And with me today is Elliot Nwosu, a.k.a. EpicPleasure.
I just want to... Damn it. I just wanted to let everybody know I am making a transformation. I am no longer EpicPleasure. I am now Childish Platypus. Yes, the platypus.
Okay, this is accepted. And with us today is Elliot Nwosu, a.k.a. Childish Platypus.
Hello, hello.
With us today is Jonathan Leung, a.k.a. Childish Platypus.
What's up?
And with us today is Derek Key, a.k.a. Childish Platypus.
No.
Yes.
Wait.
No.
Why is John Childish Platypus? I'm so confused.
I'm Childish Platypus too, according to him.
Oh, the confusion.
Oh, what have you done?
Who is the real Childish Platypus in this league of
I'm the most
platypuses?
childish. Oh.
Yes,
I'm
you
the
are.
most platypus. Is.
No.
You're the most platypus, sis?
Ish.
That doesn't sound right. When we last left off, the round ones of the NBA playoffs were coming to a close. And now we're here. Fast forward to the round twos. All the round twos have concluded. Every single series has seen its end. And what we're going to do today is go through each series, talk about how we thought it was going to go down, how it went down, and just look forward into the conference finals. But first, we're going to backtrack and look at each round of the second round. And we're going to start off with the Heat and the Bulls. I'm going to start off with Jonathan here. Jonathan, the series concluded in 5 games. The Heat winning the last 4, and the Bulls taking game 1, surprisingly. Although to not many people was surprising. There was a lot of conversation about the Heat rust versus the momentum of the Bulls. How did you think this series was going to play out from the way it actually did play out?
Well, I knew from the start Miami was going to just dominate. Like the first game they won, just a rust. They had like a week rest just because of the destroying Milwaukee. But honestly, Chicago, although they played great defense and they played with heart, they just didn't have enough offense. They didn't know where to get their offense from. A lot of times it was just an isolation play for Nate Robinson, and just no one else could score for the Chicago Bulls. And I applaud them for their effort, but it's just that they were just overmatched.
They were an inspirational team because you kind of wanted to root for them because they were scrappy and they were pulling from, they didn't make any excuses. But I think one of the obvious things is a lot of their starters were injured. They were just hobbling towards the end of the playoffs. We don't like to use injuries as an excuse, but do you honestly believe if they, had their players at full strength, they would have had a better chance?
I don't think so. I mean, even if they had Derrick Rose, it would still be one guy making the offense for the whole team. I just don't see Chicago getting past that. I mean, they showed again last year when it was Chicago versus Miami. Miami just shut them down. Derrick Rose couldn't really do much in the postseason. Their defense is going to take time to win games, but they'll need someone else to step up for them for the score besides Derrick Rose when and if he does come back.
Leung.
Derek, your analysis?
I think it'll be much closer games than some of them were, but the injuries were really devastating for the Chicago Bulls. Leung wasn't there, Kirk Heinrich wasn't there. Like, as you saw the whole, every game, their starters were exhausted. Nate Robinson was exhausted. He'll just, stand around and be idle for a bit.
Aside from game 1, which was an impressive game by the Bulls, a lot of merit and credit to them. For starters, Noah also, he was still dealing with that, what was it?
Plantar fasciitis.
And, he was still on the court. You got to give him props, but, you're playing with that. You're not at 100%.
Exactly.
And I saw the series kind of become like the Bucks first round series where you just were wondering when are the Heat going to take off and start creating that double-digit lead, which is very unfortunate because I felt that throughout the whole year, if the Bulls were at full strength, they definitely could have, they could have beaten the Heat. I definitely believed in that philosophy. Elliot, what do you think?
I don't think if the Bulls were at full strength, they would have beaten the Heat. Maybe taking 2 games off, stretch to game 6, but I still think the Heat were just a far superior team. Even if, like John was saying, if they had Rose, the Heat was just too strong. It was an impressive showing. He has to come out and take game 1 off the Heat at home. But then again, the Heat swept the Bucks in 4 games while the Bulls kept on playing. So they played, and then boom, they had the next game against the Heat while the Heat were resting for like a week plus. So
So a lot of merit to the Bulls, but unfortunately the Heat were they were at at enough strength. Because another topic we're gonna have to touch is in the next topic we're gonna have to talk about Dwayne Wade and his health and how that's gonna play a factor to the remaining 2 rounds. But overall, Heat and Bulls, it was a surprising first game. Had good. You saw a team that you wanted to applaud, but unfortunately the injuries and the overall talent of the Heat were the reason why they were able to take this series without really breaking a sweat.
So you said Dwayne Wade remaining 2 rounds. So are you predicting them to beat the Pacers already?
We're going to get to that. Next series, talking about the Heat's opponent in the conference finals, the Pacers, in their second round versus the Knicks. I'm going to start with Derek. Were you surprised by... Well, actually, let me go through it real quick. The Pacers took Game 1 from the Knicks in the home court. They were able to split it. But then the Pacers ran away with it. They took care of their home court, got games 3 and 4 in convincing fashion. Game 5, unfortunately, the Knicks won. However, there's an asterisk, I feel, because George Hill was with a concussion. So you had one of the starting 5 out of that lineup, which I feel gave the Knicks some momentum. But then with the full lineup, Game 6, they were able to close the deal. And there's a lot of stuff to begin talking about the Knicks, but let's start with the series. Is this how you thought they would play out, Pacers in 6?
I'm actually a little surprised that Pacers actually won an away game, especially the first one of the series. They've been through the whole season to show that they're kind of a weak away team, but they're just a much stronger home team. But besides that surprise, I imagined it Pacers at 6, around there.
All right, Jonathan?
I actually had New York winning the series just because of how they played in regular season. In the regular season, they had like a renaissance where they were actually moving the ball. There was never one guy holding the ball. They actually had set plays. But then when it came to postseason, they just started playing hero ball. It was mostly it was either Carmelo or J.R. Smith. Hey, one taking the ball and just try and create. There was no off-ball screen. There was no off-ball movement. No team play involved. It was just 1 versus 1. And that really went to the advantage of the Indiana Pacers. And I actually have to give a lot of credit out to actually Roy Hibbert, who really stepped up and became that inside presence that the Indiana has been looking for. And he really neutralized Tyson Chandler throughout that whole series. And I'm not sure if it was because of Tyson's health or his
I feel like Tyson Chandler was exposed as an offensive, like he's so flawed offensively. He doesn't have post moves. He can't create his own offense. And now that he was challenged by a big man, he was actually facing a big man throughout the whole series, 1v1. Hibbert just destroyed him. He just knew where to space himself. He knew exactly. He challenged Chandler to take shots, but Chandler just didn't have the right moves. I was like a little surprised, but not too surprised to see that Chandler just couldn't create his own offense and really give. Because another factor, Jason Kidd was out of it. He was basically irrelevant. He missed he didn't make a single shot.
Since April 23rd.
Yeah, he was completely gone from that series, and you needed him as one of those 3 shooters because that's how you did the spacing. You had your 3 shooters, and then you could have Melo and J.R. Smith, kind of penetrate in, but you take away the 3. Well, actually, they didn't take it away. The Knicks couldn't make the 3. It was just a disaster.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for Carmelo because I thought he was going to make that transformation where he didn't need to score in order to win games. He can do other small things, but he took 30 shots in that throughout the whole series per game, and it makes me wonder, when is he ever going to grow up and realize how to do the small things to win the game?
Elliot, what do you think?
I can't remember who I picked at first to win the series, but I mean, the Pacers just came out and just did their thing. Saying with Melo, he hasn't developed you can't even say that he doesn't have enough playoff experience because he's been to the playoffs almost every single year, but he has been losing
since he's been a rookie.
Yeah, so he just keeps losing. He doesn't know how to play playoff basketball because it hasn't been working.
So you would say he's a regular season champion, but he's not.
Everybody knows what Carmelo brings. He's a scorer. He has to adapt. He has to change that mentality. He has to find other ways to win besides scoring. You can shoot and score, but let's say you have 40 points, but your team has 50 points, and the other team has 100. What's that doing for you? Yeah, you're getting your buckets, but you're still losing the game.
So we can say about this series that from just hearing this, it's not so much that the Pacers won, but that the Knicks basically shot themselves in the foot.
You have to give credit to the Pacers.
But I feel like just just talking about this a little bit, that maybe there was some leeway where you thought the Knicks could do a lot more, and they didn't even do that. And I know you have to give credit to the Pacers because they did exactly what they were supposed to do, but you also thought that the Knicks would give you something. And just hearing about some of the disappointment of some of these players, like Chandler, Kidd disappearing, Melo, J.R. Smith was taking awful shots.
Kidd is old.
Well, your assumption is saying that the Pacers swept the Knicks, which isn't true. Knicks actually won 2 home games. I
never felt like the Knicks. I felt like those 2 wins, like Game 5 especially, was a fluke. It's just because Hill was gone. I think they would have won the series in 5 if George Hill was in the lineup. So I think that one game was just an extension, just because they were missing a player.
I feel like Knicks deserved that win because they even brought out Stoudemire, and I wasn't even expecting him to see him in the postseason.
Well, that's another thing. Stoudemire is
a waste of money.
Yeah, they don't even know how to utilize him still. So that's, I don't know. I feel like for me it was more the Knicks losing the series in a way than the Pacers winning. And I talked highly of the Pacers all year, but as I looked at this matchup, I did see the possibilities of the Knicks winning. But when I was watching the games, it's like they are doing nothing to really save themselves.
So, I mean, the way you're saying it, you're saying like the Pacers literally did nothing.
No. I'm saying that they did the things that they were supposed to do.
So,
and I know there's merit in that.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be them winning the game? Because if they played the way they wanted to play, isn't them taking control instead of the Knicks losing?
I think what Fernando is saying is that the Knicks didn't do themselves a favor. They didn't do themselves a favor. Indiana took advantage. Indiana took advantage of the Knicks' confusion, their lack of or sense of urgency or whatnot. But it's just the Knicks beat themselves up. That's all.
I just want to say, with that being said, like, if Knicks did somehow beat the Pacers playing the way they did, they will have no chance against the Heat. Like, it would be a very disgusting conference final, in my opinion. Like,
it's really hard to see somebody beating the Heat, in my opinion.
Especially playing like the way Knicks did.
Yeah.
So, I'm just glad Pacers finished it.
Okay, so now, and that's how we have the Heat-Pacers series, which we'll look into in our next segment. But first, the West. Now we're going to talk about the West rounds. And the first series we're going to look at is the Grizzlies and the Thunder. And the way that series went down, the Thunder took Game 1 in their home court. Grizzlies were able to split the series, which went to their advantage. They took their 2 games at their home court, making it 3-1. Thunder were able to salvage Game 5, but they just couldn't win it at the Grizzlies Stadium. So the Grizzlies win it at 6. Again, I'll start with John. How did you see this series going down? How did you think it was going to go down?
I mean, I had Memphis winning the series, and of course they took care of business. It's just that for Oklahoma City, they need to get different personnel because it's just you can see that nobody felt comfortable in their roles, their new roles given. I'm questioning the leadership or decisions of Scott Brooks. I mean, throughout the series, I could see how Kendrick Perkins was ineffective. Derek Fisher couldn't keep up with Mike Conley. I was just curious, like, why would Scott Brooks just continue to play both of them throughout that whole series? Where there's an ample opportunity for them to develop their young guns like Reggie Jackson or Liggins. And but give props to Memphis. They didn't give them anything easy. There are times that Memphis could have choked the game up, but they took care of business and they stayed true to their form. So this gives me more clarification for Oklahoma City to maybe revamp their roster.
I have like 2 points. This series just proved, and the one right after Westbrook got injured, that the Oklahoma didn't prepare for the worst, as in losing one of their stars.
Well, I don't think you can really prepare for. I mean, for Westbrook leaving.
But to have like an existing bench that could like somehow produce better. Maybe?
Well, we talked about this before. It was, with the way the lineup was designed, revolved around Westbrook and Durant, it was all about the positioning and how everything was just already set up. And you take away a major piece, of course it's going to just, convolute everything in the way you have to re-scheme yourself in the middle of a playoff series. So you're almost like starting a new season and having to figure out how to utilize those people. And the Grizzlies knew exactly the kind of team they were. They're almost like I was reading an article, almost like a model of the old 2004 Detroit Pistons, where they don't have true superstars, but they know their identity. They're to grind out, to annoy, and to try to find points any way possible, but to make sure to stop the other team, and taking away their best players. So that's the only thing. I don't know if exactly it's like that they're flawed. It's just like the players and stuff like that, or that there was a lack of bench. It's just that Russell Westbrook is like, he just creates it makes everything. He makes a huge difference. That's like saying if KD was gone, it's a huge difference when one of those players gets out of there.
And my second point would be Durant disappeared in the last game, and the way Memphis was playing in the fourth quarter, I saw like they missed a lot of shots, and OKC had every chance to come back and take the lead, but I'm just surprised that Durant actually kind of like disappeared in Game 4 and didn't play as I expected him to, with so much on the line.
That could be just because he's tired. I mean, he basically when he had Russell Westbrook, he didn't have to bring the ball up, look to create for others. But then with Westbrook gone, I mean, he has to bring the ball up. He has to look for create for other players. He can't come off screens. He has to actually make offense with the ball in his hand. So he's probably a little fatigued from that.
I understand, but I would just assume with all the talk about I want to be the number one scorer when Westbrook was on the team that I would expect him to be playing like all out basketball. Like going in, even if I understand fatigue is a big issue. Like I understand that, but
the other thing is Durant, I think he played to the max potential that he could with all of those circumstances that happened. Because here's the honest truth. In the last 5 minutes, the scheme is that Kevin Durant has to be your scorer. But instead of having a Russell Westbrook take up the ball, like John was saying, all you have to do really is cover Durant and challenge everyone else to do something. And Kevin Martin was not a huge factor. Ibaka wasn't a huge factor.
But I'm also talking about like throughout the whole last game of the series that like even the first half Durant was like missing needed shots and he just couldn't finish well.
Well, that's why you have a second scorer because you're not during the playoffs. Your top player isn't always going to be able to score at will. That's why and then playoff success is determined by you have two guys who can make offense for each.
Yeah, because you could call it the Carmelo Anthony effect, where Carmelo has to be scoring, and look what happens when he's not scoring.
I disagree. Like, I think this is where you show yourself as a superstar. Like, you guys remember when LeBron was back on the Cavs? When he against the Detroit Pistons, where he scored 27 of the last.
Yeah, but to ask that of a player, that's a rare moment.
He did it.
Yeah, LeBron didn't get asked.
He did it several times.
I mean, Kevin Durant scored 29 points throughout the series. He had 10 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah, no, but
it's
look
not enough
at
though.
the performance.
Yeah, but how much more do you want him to score? 35
do,
points? I mean,
do whatever it takes to win.
He had plenty of easy baskets, and he just couldn't finish. It just mind boggled me a little bit. Like, in my opinion, it's just.
Like, let me ask you guys this question: if let's say the roles is like this is not gonna happen. Hopefully this doesn't happen. But the roles are swapped, and Kevin Durant's the one injured, and Westbrook's the one on the floor. Do you think Westbrook will go out like that? Like, do you think Westbrook will be completely shut down in the fourth quarter, like Durant was this whole series, or do you see him having way more success than Durant did? Because everybody's been saying it's Durant's team, and he had his shot. But what if Westbrook's time comes? What happens?
There was a game I remember a long time ago when Durant was sitting out, and it was Russell Westbrook versus Boston Celtics. And throughout the game, it just became so stagnant and slow because you could see, it was just give the Russell the ball and let him create something for us. And if we can't make anything, let him just shoot it. And I think that would have been the same result. I mean, I think it actually be worse.
Well, how long ago was that?
This was like, a year ago when they were still, this last year actually, when they actually went to the conference final. I mean, it's just that one player can't do everything. It's a team game. So you can't ask one player to always make the shots. You need someone else to step up for you.
Yeah, because let me ask you this. LeBron James had that great game in that series, but he didn't win the championship because his cast wasn't that great.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It was just him. Like, it was only him. Like, look at that Cleveland team. They were terrible.
I'm not giving Durant any, negative...
No, I know.
I'm just saying, I'm very surprised that he actually went out like that in the last game of the series to be so invisible. Yeah, that's my point. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying. I agree. It's a team game. It's always going to be a team game.
It's always going to be.
But I'm just surprised he was invisible the last game.
Well, props to the Grizzlies because they made him invisible and they challenged everything the Thunder had. And you could say that Brooks was outcoached by Lionel Hollins. So the Grizzlies deserve that, and that's why they're in the conference finals against the Spurs. So our last series to look at is the Spurs versus the Warriors. And again, start one last time with John here. John, how did you see the series play out?
Oh, I already knew San Antonio was going to win just because they're just well coached. Everyone knows their roles. And it's just that how the Warriors play, they live by the three. So you're going to live by the three. You can see in the end, when they get hot and streaky, they're an offensive force to be reckoned with. But the thing is, when they go cold, no one else can score, none of the shooters can make any shots. What are they? What's going to make offense for them? And just the Spurs took advantage. They were able to disrupt Stephen Curry's rhythm by putting Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green on them. Well, I applaud both of them for the defensive job they did on it. But it's just Golden State didn't have. They lived by the shot, they lived by the 3-pointers, and they died by the 3-pointers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with John. Like, I knew in the back of my mind the Spurs had it, really, but I just wanted to. I'm tired of seeing the Spurs in the playoff. Like, God damn it, Tim Duncan is old. Just God damn it, Tim Duncan. Like, you're everybody knows you're a future Hall of Famer. Like, I really want to see Stephen Curry like just come out. I mean, next year, obviously, he's gonna be much better. He's gonna take this loss as a huge experience and learn from it. But still, it's just something about watching. It's more fun to watch the Warriors play than it is to watch the Spurs play. It's just more. For me, it's better basketball. Not better basketball, but it's fun basketball.
I agree with Elliot. It's just better to watch somebody play except the Spurs.
But yeah, the Warriors, they're a lot of fun. Their fan base is exciting to watch. It's crazy just watching the fans get pumped by, like Oracle is an impressive arena. I'd like to go visit that one day, just, oh, good Lord, during a playoff atmosphere, that's pretty crazy. But John made a point that, and that's one of the things about the Spurs that unfortunately, that's why they're never going to go away. The way that Popovich manages that team, everybody says, well, they're a success of the system that's in place. Well, if the system's good, then why are you going to complain about it? The first games, Curry and what's his name, Thompson, they had their way. They were able to get their threes. They were wrecking that rotational defense that he usually has on the outside perimeter shooters. But then all of a sudden, Popovich says, you know what, screw that. I'm just going to say Green, Leonard, stick on them and challenge everybody else. Harrison Barnes, Jarrett Jack, Bogut, you guys be the leaders, and you make sure to try to get Curry and Thompson out of the way. And what happened? Jack was very turnover prone. Harrison Barnes, he's a rookie. He still has a lot to learn. He gets stuck sometimes. When he goes for his drives, he's a little questionable on where he shoots the ball, but he's still learning. So you can give him that excuse. But that's the point, that Popovich knew exactly what he wanted the Warriors. He knew what the Warriors wanted to do around their offensive shooting, and he said, "No, I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna make you guys do something else, and you're gonna have to deal with it." So that's a credit to him.
Goodbye, Stephen.
Is there a Hall of Famer for coaches?
Yeah, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, no, they all go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
so
all of them.
It's the same Hall of Fame.
Oh, same Hall of Fame. Oh.
Yeah, so
Pop.
Yeah, for sure.
Pop
Him, Phil Jackson.
He's so scary. It's just scary to see the Spurs play so well.
Yeah.
Guys, like Tim Duncan never ages, and so does Tony Parker doesn't either.
Well,
Except for Manager Ginobili, though, he's getting bold.
Yeah, that spot's getting bigger and bigger.
I should have saw him yesterday. He was thrown down with some dunks.
And T-Mac is in the conference finals. He might get a ring.
God. Oh, God.
See, that's how good Popovich is, that he actually makes the curse not affect his team. That's how good of a coach he is. So, one last thing, looking at the second rounds, the teams that lost, the Bulls, the Thunder, the Warriors, the Knicks. Let's analyze these teams because next year, for starters, the Thunder, they're going to be good. They're going to be the Western Conference favorite again because they're going to get back Russell Westbrook. The Bulls are interesting because also they're going to get back their players. Luol Deng, they're going to hopefully, get Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose he
should be back. Derrick Rose. They're going to be at full roster, so they're also going to be a favorite. Let's talk about these two teams, the Warriors. Do you guys see the Warriors, still continue to be a consistent playoff team? Because remember, we haven't seen the Warriors have back-to-back playoff appearances since, I want to say the late 80s. This is a team that hasn't been consistent in its success. And, there's still questions about Curry. He was hobbling during the end of that series with his ankle. That ankle is always a red light. Are you going to build around a guy like Curry with an ankle that, is so glass and, injury prone? So, I guess I'll start with this. With the Warriors, do you guys see them being in the playoffs next year? Derek?
Yes, if they mature and develop their game. I mean, they're still very young, so they're going to learn. And if you live and die by the three, you can also have a little trick up your sleeve or something. Just evolve.
John?
I can see him returning. I think it'll depend if they can get Jarrett Jack or someone of the similar quality that can play with the ball and somehow create opportunities for Stephen Curry. But I think one thing that will be important for the Warriors is to get another inside presence for them. I mean, Andrew Bogut did very well. He stepped up during the series. But they need another big guy. And I'm not sure if David Lee is that guy they'll need. Because it was throughout the series, you can see that Stephen Curry, he was able to make things happen. The Warriors were best when Stephen Curry had the ball in his hands. I'm not sure if they will need David Lee. So I'm curious to see if the Warriors are interested in getting a big man, a defensive big man, to maybe complement Stephen Curry.
Elliot?
Yeah, I agree. I see them making the playoff again. Stephen Curry is just gonna get better. But yeah, you said the injuries is a huge thing. But I mean, sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes it's just it's periodic and it just happens. But like I said, I think they do need a better inside presence. Andrew Bogut is good, but they just somebody better would help him.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah. This team is exciting to watch, and we've seen a lot throughout the playoffs where there's, a lot of one-hit wonders where you're like, man, this team is going to be there for a while, and then they just fade because
and they have the
of
Bucks.
different circumstances. So hopefully we'll see the Warriors again because they're really a fun team to watch. And one last look at the Knicks. The East is going to get slightly stronger, but it's still the East, so do you think this year was the best chance the Knicks had to reach and win, the title? Do you think that window has all of a sudden closed? Because, for starters, they can't make that many moves. Amari's contract is way too fat. It takes away a lot of the cap space, so they can't, a lot of their players are old still, and they're going to have to get rid of those. It's very unusual, the position that the Knicks have put them. Well, not unusual. It's just honest. They're stuck. They're stuck exactly with that team. They can make little modifications, but this is the team that is going to continue playing with the core of Chandler, Melo, and Stoudemire. So do you guys think this was their best shot? And now from here on out, they're probably second round is their ceiling.
Honestly, who said this? Who even gave them a chance to win the championship?
But I'm talking about as the team, the way it was designed, with all the circumstances that happened, the Bulls getting depleted, the Pacers not having Danny Granger, the Celtics losing Rajon Rondo, because even that, they were able to get past that first round because the Celtics, they didn't have their general, and you had a old core that eventually stopped shooting. They had a lot of circumstances and situations happen where the Knicks had the door sort of open for them.
There was still the Heat, even if they made it past the second round.
So, but I guess that's what I'm saying. Do you see the Knicks, this was their best chance, and that maybe next year they might have,
I for one never even gave them a chance to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals to say, so I don't know what I have to say here. No.
Okay. John?
I think this was their best chance. I mean, they had a pretty good core of Jason Kidd, J.R. Smith, Tyson Chandler, and Carmelo, and the way they played small ball. And with J.R. Smith gone, I'm not sure they're going to have that bench scorer, that sixth guy who would come in and help them score. And they're just limited financially. They can't really make any moves, like you said. And honestly, this was their best shot. And especially with the aggression of Tyson Chandler, I'm not sure if he can bounce back from this such a thing.
All right, Derek?
This was the best chance. But because Melo was actually, through the regular season, was showing that he was evolving and maturing as a player. But now that he regressed and went back to his old ways in the playoffs, I don't know how his mentality will be for next season or how the team will recover from such a devastating performance in the playoffs. So, and everything fell into place for them to succeed, and they just couldn't show out.
Yeah. So that concludes the second round talk, and now we're almost done. It's almost the end of the season, the conference finals. So we're going to talk about each series. First, we're going to start off with the series that's already started. It's been 2 games in. Spurs and Grizzlies. Right now, the Spurs have taken a 2-0 lead. How do you guys see this series, how it's played so far? How do you think it's going to, finish up? What do you guys see in this series so far? First reactions, John?
Well, I initially chose San Antonio to win this game, to win the series versus Memphis. The reason why is because of the past 2 series that Memphis played. I mean, they only had to shut out one guy when they played the Clippers, they only had to shut down Chris Paul, and everybody else was ineffective. Second round, shut down Kevin Durant. Everyone else is ineffective. But the thing with the Spurs, what makes them so unique is that there's different guys who can score. Right now, after 2 games, 8 different Spurs have scored 7 points per game, already scored 7 points per game. That shows you that each of the Spurs know how to utilize all their players and make them dangerous. You can tell the Spurs know where they need to be during the playoff series. And although I think Memphis is a good defensive team, I'm not sure they can handle the complexities of the Spurs offense. Okay. So I was going to keep with my Spurs in 6.
Okay. Elliot?
Yeah, I agree with John here. The Spurs are just...
Of course you agree with John. His analysis was ridiculous.
the Spurs are just so... God, I hate them, but damn, they're just so damn good. Jesus Christ, just stop. But I'm going with the Spurs. I have nothing to say. John said it all.
Yep, from the mouth of Kid Platypus, Derek.
Childish Platypus.
Oh, Childish Platypus.
Same thing.
I thought it was Kid Platypus. I'm sorry.
I'll be the unique one. I'll say Memphis.
Oh, you're unique.
Look at you trying to stand out.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. The way the Spurs have been playing, it's scary. And if Memphis cannot win 2 games at home, or like if they can't find somehow a niche for Zebo to play within the court with the Spurs team, like effectively not shooting 2 for 11 for the first 3 quarters and then coming out the fourth. But without that, Memphis has no chance.
I picked the Grizzlies to go all the way to the NBA Finals. I'm still sticking with that. I think I originally said the Grizzlies if they would face the Spurs in 6. I'm going to say Grizzlies in 7. I honestly believe that they're going to be able to defend their home court and they tie it 2-2. I honestly believe they're going to be able to do that. Because I question how long Tony Parker has been one of the key reasons why this has worked. He has been able to utilize all the pieces. I mean, how many assists did he have in last night's game?
Yeah,
Game
like
2?
14 assists.
No, he had 18. He had a career high for regular season and playoff season.
Well, he had a lot.
Yeah, he was just he had a lot.
That's the understatement.
Yeah, he was able to penetrate in. Zebo has been playing awful. Yet, what was interesting with Game 2 was that, even as much as it looked like the Spurs were dominating, the Grizzlies still were able to stick in there. And I feel that eventually the Grizzlies are going to be able to break through the barrier and they're going to be able to find a way to stop the Spurs from doing all their, schemes and all their offensive craziness, and they're going to be able to grind out 2 wins at home. I think it's just going to be home games are going to be won through the first 6 games, and I honestly believe the Grizzlies will take that home game at San Antonio.
I'll add on to that, Tony Parker. He's having an MRI done today, John. So you better watch out. Precautionary MRI, but
My thing with the Grizzlies, though, is that their pound and ground game works. But thing is that the Spurs are fronting them. They're bringing weak side help to not let any of the Memphis Grizzlies guards throw it into the post. What basically Popovich is doing to me is that he's saying, I dare any of the Memphis perimeter players to make plays. The thing, the Memphis' big problem is they don't have any perimeter players to score. None of the players can make difficult shots. They have maybe one player in Mike Conley, and that's really it. So they're allowing Marcus Gasol going to shoot the outside shot, shoot it. He's daring the Grizzlies to go outside because I think, in my opinion, has effectively taken Zach Randolph and Marcus Gasol out of the series. I mean, they're shooting less than 40%, and whenever they do get inside, I mean, they're rushing their shots because they know San Antonio is going to come in with a triple team, double team quickly. But the thing is, my biggest problem with Memphis has always been their perimeter. Who's going to step up? One of the other guards are going to step up and help the big men.
I'm going to stick with Grizzlies. I'm going to say that just like last year, the Spurs had a 2-0 lead and they crumbled. Of course, I know the huge reason why the crumble happened was Harden. No one saw that coming, and Harden just basically took over that series. But I honestly do believe that the Spurs, though they have been, doing everything right, I still believe that the Grizzlies, surprisingly have been able to hang on. I still believe they're going to eventually get through the threshold. They're going to figure it out, and they're going to be able to grind out the wins that they need to, take it in 7.
The Grizzlies only have to do some kind of misdirection play in order to get their bigs open. But I'm not going to count them out, though, because I have seen it. History says usually the first team that wins 2 in a row wins, 90% of the time the team will win.
Yeah.
They fell to the Houston Rockets back in 2005 when they lost to the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, no,
40-point loss in Game 7.
Those dark times.
Those dark times, indeed.
Oh, yes. But hopefully the statistics go in favor of the Spurs this time.
Maybe. And the last series is the Eastern Conference Finals, the Heat versus Pacers. And this is barely starting today, Game 1. That series took forever to start. So, guys, predictions. A lot of news media is saying that the Pacers have no chance. Their bench is not strong enough unless their starting 5 plays the ridiculous amount of minutes that they have been playing lately. That even though they have physicality and they have the ability to punish in the paint, that LeBron James is just going to be too much, and that you merit the Pacers defense and you give them the respect to say that maybe they can ground out a win or two, but a lot of people are predicting Heat in 6 or Heat in 5 even. So I'm going to start with you, Derek. What do you think? Do you think that the Pacers stand a chance to upset, or do you think this is going to just be scripted that the Heat will move on to the finals?
I think everybody believes it's scripted that the Heat will move on, but it's just the journey or the duration or how long it's going to take them to get there. I think Pacers can play the same way they did last season and take about 2 games off of Heat, but ultimately it will be the Heat winning it. One reason why they took 2 games off last season is because Chris Bosh was out with an abdominal injury. But now that this season, Dwayne Wade is actually having knee problems that you can see it in his game where he has just spurts of moments where he's actually very effective and other quiet moments. And I'd rather have Dwayne Wade on the court than Chris Bosh anytime. And if Wade actually does go out during the series, it's going to be a problem, a small problem for the Heat against the Pacers.
Jonathan, what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I don't think Indiana has a chance. But I had to disagree with you. I think Chris Bosh, particularly in this series, he's going to be the most important player for the Heat. Although I applaud Dwayne Wade for his ability to move off the ball and play off LeBron James, Chris Bosh is going to play a pivotal role in bringing Roy Hibbert out of the game. I mean, that lone win that Miami had against Indiana, Bosh scored, he was 11 for 15, and he scored 20-plus points. And his ability to hit the jump shot is going to be important in order to bring Roy Hibbert out, so LeBron James and all the other players have room to operate. But I honestly don't see Indiana pulling this one out.
It's the Heat show. I see the Pacers winning maybe. I say the Heat in 6, but I'm more leaning towards the Heat in 5 because I can see the Pacers winning maybe winning like 2 games at home because I don't know, for whatever reason they play perfect basketball, and the Heat, like I said, if Dwayne Wade, like his injury actually catches up to him, or if he actually goes out, then they might have a chance to win 2-3 games. But I don't see the Heat losing, even if Dwayne Wade is out. I still don't see them like winning.
But for John's point about the 1 game where Chris Bosh was out, what about the other 3 games?
The other 2 games, he did poorly, and that reflects on if Chris Bosh does poorly, then Miami does poorly.
So the X factor has to be Bosh's play.
If you remember last year when Miami was down 3-2 and they were about to get eliminated in Game 6, there was something that Chris Bosh was actually the one who stepped up. His return kind of sparked the Heat to win the next 2 games to avoid elimination. So I really think that Chris Bosh's ability to hit the jumper and be that other low post threat, be that secondary scorer to LeBron James, I think is very important.
Well, there is truth in that. For starter, I mean, we can compare it to the Chandler-Hibbert match. Chandler doesn't have the moves that Bosh has. Bosh has outside shooting shots, and he's going to play the center role. It's going to have to cause Hibbert to come outside, and that can mean more people could penetrate inside. So there's valid points in that.
Or it could just be they put David West on him and then have Hibbert stay in the middle.
Well, sometimes Miami plays small ball, so they'll put Bosh at the center position. But that goes to also where can LeBron James effectively guard David West? Can he effectively play offense and have to guard a guy who's going to post him up almost every single possession?
And supposedly the philosophy of the Pacers is that, we're going to try to exhaust him. Mm-hmm. But then the other problem is the physicality. That's the way the Pacers want to play. This is a league of superstars. LeBron James is going to get a lot of calls if it looks like they're roughhousing him. So you basically have the possibility of West and Hibbert getting into early foul trouble just because they're trying to supposedly send a message or they're trying to exhaust LeBron James. Then, unfortunately, you have the factor of going into the bench, and I don't know who else in that bench, in that roster of the Pacers, is going to be able to, withstand all the minutes, as West and Hibbert, they try to, find a way to distribute their minutes if they get into early foul trouble. So that is an issue. From the beginning of the year, I honestly believed that the Pacers were the closest thing to a legitimate threat to the Heat. But the Heat, unfortunately, they have come on their own. They know exactly how they want to play in these playoffs. LeBron James and Bosh are going to play a huge factor. I kind of want to say that if Wade almost disappears, it will. If Wade is almost a non-factor, I think honestly the Pacers will obviously have a better chance at pulling an upset. But I think it is more of how long will it take for the Heat to close this out. But it will definitely be the most interesting series that the Heat have had in the whole playoffs because the first 2 have been nothing. I think that they might lose the first game just because of that shock of seeing a team that could actually go on par with them. But so what do you guys think? What's your prediction? Heat in how many games?
I'm going to say Heat in 5.
Okay, John?
Heat in 5.
Heat in 6.
I'm going to say Heat in 6, unfortunately. We could possibly see a Heat Well, actually, we're split on this. We could see Heat Grizzlies or Heat Spurs, and that'll be at least something to talk about. But
that'll be very. What were you saying there?
I think Howard Stern wants the old big three with the kind of new big three.
You know, I was saying this to you, Derek. If they face the Spurs, it would be kind of a funny storyline because LeBron James' first finals run, he got demolished by Tim Duncan's 07 Spurs. He could get his second ring beating Tim Duncan's Spurs, and it's like, oh, the passing of the torch has finally happened where LeBron has dominated the team that dominated him in his past. And then Duncan and Popovich right into the sunset.
And there was that fiasco this season where the Spurs, when they played against Miami, they said Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker out. And then when the San Antonio Spurs went to Miami decided, hey, we're going to sit down LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. So it's kind of like that little fiasco going there. Maybe that plays out to see. Because we never really saw a true matchup with them, too. So this is a good maybe
It's
opportunity.
all staged. Why do we have the playoffs? Why?
Because we do.
Oh,
Controversy.
the monies.
The monies. So that ends and concludes this delicious episode of Unlimited Pancakes.
From the oven?
I was about to say that. You guys can enjoy my delicious oven-based pancakes if you guys want to.
Nobody finds that delicious sounding at all.
My family finds that delicious. My grandfather, my grandpapa, back in 1886, founded
1886.
Grandpapa.
1886.
1886.
How the hell?
He's old, son. He's old.
How old are you?
He can't move.
I mean, you do look pretty old.
Freaking childish. I mean, freaking kid.
Childish platypus. You know, a platypus is a filthy creature.
You know, they don't do much, you know.
I know they don't do much like you do. You do nothing. You don't contribute to society. Worthless. Garbage. Muff cabbage.
You're nothing.
So any last comments before we close out this episode?
Live long and prosper.
Oh, my
no.
prediction. Bobcats, the new Hornets, will make it to the playoffs next season because of the name change. Calling it.
Well, actually, no. They're going to change season 2014-15 season.
Wait, Bobcats
So
changed
one
the
more
name?
season of mediocrity and then
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Wait, Bobcats changed the name?
To Hornets in the next season.
Yeah, it's going to be the Charlotte
and
Hornets.
they're going to reach finally 500 record.
And then
A 500.
what happens to the Hornets?
The Pelicans.
Oh, the Pelicans,
Yeah,
that's right,
The
I
name of the
forgot.
Hornets is going to be taken by the Charlotte Bobcats.
Ew.
No, the icon or the logo, it looks really
Yeah,
nice.
it's going to feel right. The Charlotte Hornets, that sounds awesome.
I guess.
Versus the New Orleans Pelicans.
I like the logo too much.
No, the
too.
logo is awesome. It's just
To,
that name is. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like Jeff Van Gundy saying like those Pelican players are like amazing or something like that. It's like this. I think he's gonna
they
be
just
like.
took flight.
I think he's gonna say something like, "I'm sorry, but this is wrong. This doesn't sound right at all."
Yeah, I think all the catchers are gonna like have a chuckle every time they cast the
Yeah,
Pelicans.
it's gonna be like
first
at the
seed,
side, like, and we'll take a break.
Pelicans.
All right, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Unlimited Pancakes.
Adios.